Hello, welcome to the ARET Network. We're pleased to have you be involved. You're going to get a sample of a number of the resources that are available to you as a member of the ARET Network. What I'm going to talk to you about today is what you need to do for a better version of you. I am a business psychologist. People ask me all the time, what's a business psychologist? And I tell them that I come to your office and you lay on your own couch. It's not a very good joke, so I can always tell how good the audience is by how they respond. So what is it that I do? I have one trick. The one trick that I have is I train leaders to monitor and manage their thinking. That's it. That's my one trick. I train leaders to monitor and manage their thinking. That's all I do. What I know is that disciplined thinking is the key to success in any and every endeavor in life. That's it. That's all I know how to do, is train leaders to monitor and manage their thinking. There are two parts to that. The first is monitor. You have to be aware of what you're thinking. And the second is to manage it, to discipline it. We all have a stream of consciousness that runs through our head, and most of us never stick a ladle in to sample what's in our stream of consciousness. We have thoughts that rush through our heads all the time, and we never stop and look at how we think. So when I go into an organization, people say to me, "Doc, we need help. So will you come in? We need better results." And it doesn't really matter what the better results are. You know, if you're running a safety program, we need to reduce workplace incidences. If you're a for-profit company, it's like, how do we increase our revenues? How do we increase our profits? How do we increase morale? Whatever it is. When I talk to individuals, they say, well, I'd like to be more self-disciplined. I need to manage my time better. Or, I've got really bad habits. So what they say is, I want results. And then I ask this next question, is where do the results come from? At which point they say, well, better results come from better behavior. So when I'm working with a business, they say, well, what we're going to do is we're going to monitor the best practices of the other organizations, and we're going to bring those into our company. And once we bring those best practices in, then we'll have a better company. Or when individuals talk to me, they say, well, I need to get better on this thing, so I've been reading a lot of books and watching people who are really good at that. And I say, oh, awesome, I'm really glad. And then I ask the next question, which is, where do better results come from? Or where do better behaviors come from? At which point, they look at me like they're Lassie. And Timmy's just said something really confusing, like a math problem there. They don't know. They don't know where better behavior comes from. And I always end with this, is better behavior comes from better thinking. It's disciplined thinking that leads to behavior, which leads to better results. So let me give you an example. Here's a really easy example. What's the number one health problem in the United States? Obesity. It's really easy. You want better results. I'm going to tell you the behaviors necessary to lose weight, and it'll only take 5 seconds, so it should be easy to write down. So do you guys remember when Letterman was on NBC? This is a long time ago. Some of you just look it up on Wikipedia, because it's really a long time ago. And if you don't know who Letterman is, that's also on Wikipedia. So Letterman's on NBC. He loses the spot for the Tonight Show, so he gets mad in a huff, and he leaves to go to CBS. Then he takes 6 months off. Well, those last few years at NBC, he'd gotten a little round. And so in his 6 months off, he had lost a lot of weight. And he's doing a promo tour on CBS. He's on CBS This Morning with Paula Zahn. And so she said, "Dave, you look great. What's your secret?" Get ready to write this down. And he goes, "I eat less and I exercise more." She goes, "How do you feel?" He says, "Hungry all the time." Boom! I've told you. That's it. That's the formula. Eat less, exercise more. How do you feel? Hungry all the time. Boom, we're done. I have just explained in 5 seconds the behavior necessary to change your weight. Now, why is it that we spend bazillions, which is a technical term, bazillions of dollars on weight loss in our country? It's because we don't get to the root, which is a thinking problem. Now, let me give you an example. This morning, I had breakfast. I always get the same breakfast everywhere I go because I don't want to waste my decisions. You think I'm kidding? So your brain occupies 3 to 5% of your body mass, but consumes 20% of the glucose that comes from your food. Your brain is an overuser of the energy that comes from your food. About 5% of the body mass, 20% of the energy. Your brain is an excessive user of energy from your food. And because it's a biologic organism, it's part of your body, it reacts much like the rest of our biology does. So if I was to say to you, hey, everybody in here, we're going to do a little exercise, and I mean that literally, I want you to drop and give me 100 push-ups. Some of you are going, yeah, I'm going to show off. And others of you are going, oh, please don't make us do this. So I say, drop and give me 100 push-ups. And in the middle of your 100 push-ups, somewhere along there, you max out. You can't do any more push-ups, right? You have reached your push-up load. And I can offer you cash. I can threaten to hurt you. I can threaten to embarrass you and humiliate you. And you can't do any more push-ups. Why is that? Because you've fatigued. You've reached your daily push-up load. You can't do any more. Now tomorrow, you come back and I say, give me some more push-ups. Can you do more push-ups tomorrow? Of course. Why? Because you've rested. So we know that our muscles get muscle fatigue and our brain gets decision fatigue. We have a daily decisional load. And if we fill it up every day with decisions, then we become fatigued. So let me give you an example about food. I got a cup of coffee this morning. How many decisions does it take for a cup of coffee? So let's go through it. So, am I going to have coffee? Yes. Do I want regular or decaf? What size do I want? Do I want cream? Do I want one of those flavored creams? Do I want sugar? If I want a sweetener, do I want real sugar or do I want fake sugar? And then once we get to the fake sugar decision, you got like 11 different choices, right? Then, do I get more than one? Do you see? I've just used up 10 decisions on a single cup of coffee. So, we get decision fatigued. Every day, we make decisions all day long. And here's why it affects our weight, which is where we started on this conversation. All of you have had this conversation. You're at home, in your kitchen, standing next to the refrigerator, talking to your loved one. And here's how it goes. What do you want for dinner? I don't know, what do you want? I don't know, what's in there? We got pork chops from last night. It doesn't sound good. What else we got? Not much. What's in the freezer? We got frozen chicken, we got frozen ground beef. But then we have to thaw it and cut up vegetables and choose spices. And what do you want for? I don't know. And then there's something in your refrigerator that saves you, right? What is it? It's the refrigerator magnet for the pizza company. And you call them up, and you go, you want pizza? Yeah, good. Hello, pizza? Yes, regular, delivered by. Click, boom, you're done. So instead of making the 47 additional decisions at night, what happens? You're decision fatigued, you're exhausted, and so you retreat and you refer to the easy habit. You all know the easy habit, okay? When you're going through the drive-thru, you don't say, I'd like a cheeseburger, and I'd like lettuce and tomato and mayo, and I'd like that to be a double cheeseburger. What do you say when you go through the drive-thru? I'd like a number 1, I'd like a number 3, because they're reducing your decisions. Do you see how easy that is? And so we always, because our brains get fatigued, we're always going for the easy decision. I've given you simple examples about stuff you all know in your personal and your daily life, but this happens in the rest of your lives and the rest of your businesses. You are decision fatigued, and my job is to help people monitor and manage their thinking. Slow their thinking down so that they're able to monitor what's happening. And then manage it. How do you address what's happening in your head at these times? And your brain is your best resource. Your bodies are handy containers for this thing that makes you go. The thing that makes you money, the thing that makes your life rich, is this thing in this handy skull container. The rest of your body is designed to fuel this thing that makes everything else go. How well do you take care of your brain? I wear a bike helmet. Let's use a rock and roll example. How well do you take care of a resource that you've only got one of? So, let's talk about Pete Townshend and The Who. Pete Townshend, after he windmills, right, on his guitar. What kind of guitar does Pete Townshend use? You don't know. The old ones were Fender Strats, some Fender Telecasters. Some of the newer ones were Gibson Les Pauls. Now, the reason I know this is because it's really public knowledge. He's got really, really regular instruments. And what, at the end of his windmill, is his signature concert ending move? Here's a little hint. What's the signature concert ending move for Pete Townshend? He smashes a perfectly good guitar. There's a song about this. So he beats it. Now, why does he do this? Why does he smash a perfectly good guitar? Because tomorrow he can go to a guitar store and buy another one. You only have one brain. There's another guitarist who a lot of you have heard of who has never smashed his guitar. His name is Brian May. Who did Brian May play for? Queen. Queen has a distinct guitar sound that you can get from no other guitar. Brian May has never smashed his guitar because there's only one. He and his father made it in 1963. The fretboard comes from the mantle of the neighbor's fireplace. There's a little wormhole in it. The little wah-wah bar, or whatever it's called, I know that's not it, the tremolo bar, is made out of a hammered knife. The mechanism in the pickups are from motorcycle springs that he and his dad adapted to the purpose. He calls it the Red Special. He never smashes it because there's only one. Ladies and gentlemen, your brain, there's only one. And my job is to help you use it better. Your job is to make sure you maintain it so that you can do your job and serve the people that you love better. I believe Yogi Berra when he says 90% of baseball is mental, the other half is physical. Yogi wasn't so good at math, but he was right on the principle. Those of you who don't get that, maybe you should use your calculator. Great performance in every endeavor is always a mental process. I had a mechanic working out an electrical problem in my car, and I said, "How did you do that?" And most people think mechanics are nothing but turning bolts. But being a mechanic is primarily a diagnostic problem. It is a thinking problem, not a physical problem. So your job, whatever it is, if you're a golfer, if you're a business owner, it's primarily a thinking problem. How do you solve problems of thought? And that, ladies and gentlemen, is what I do. So if you want to be great at something, you need to think better. Not Mensa Sudoku stuff. That's all okay. It's not about being smart. It's about being disciplined in your thinking, monitoring and managing your thinking. All of my clients become more successful when they wrap their arms around controlling their thinking. Better thinking drives more success and happier lives. The people I work with do better when they think better. They monitor and manage their thinking. They slow their activity down long enough to reflect on things. That's the monitor part. When do you guys have your best ideas? In the shower, because it's the only time no one, unless you have a 3-year-old, is bothering you. And most of you already know how to do that shower thing, so you don't need like a list of directions. So it's easy for your mind to go in good places. And now you're able to monitor and you're able to create. Most of us are scattered. We're so busy, we can't get anything done. What you think has consequences. What you think drives everything. And if you don't spend any time monitoring it and don't spend any time learning how to manage the destructive or inaccurate thoughts that you have, you will have difficulty. I love this Elvis Costello quote. It's from a song called Satellite. It looks like she learned to dance from a series of still pictures. Now imagine that. What does it look like to imagine a person learning to dance from a series of still pictures? It's like a robot. It's stilted. It's awkward. Every great leader, every great performer reads about what they do. But every great performer actually practices what they do. They have someone to coach them through it. Name a great performer who doesn't have a coach. There are some famous performers who used to have coaches and now are sucking wind because they fired them all. Fill in the blank. But we know that great performers in every area of life are first and foremost disciplined thinkers, and they need someone to help rehearse them through the behavior. Reading is great, but reading is not enough. It's necessary but insufficient. You need someone to come alongside you and show you and practice and rehearse with you. What do? I had one of those jobs that I am legitimately allowed to ask people nosy and, awkward questions. And they pay me. But that's what I do. I ask hard questions that make you start thinking and make you start examining some of your presuppositions, some of the ways that you've automatically thought through your life, and to begin to examine those. Once you examine those, then you start to think, wow, I'm making some pretty significant errors. So you folks, if you want to be excellent, find someone who can help ask you those hard questions, get you to monitor and manage your thinking. You'll discover how distracted you are. You'll discover the lies that you believed yourself. You'll find out patterns of thought that are unproductive, that you've just taken for granted. Doesn't everybody think this way? No. Great people think differently than everyone else. They zig when everyone else zags. They spend a little bit of time pausing and reflecting before they move forward. And that's why their behavior is so different, because they have figured out how to manage what's inside their head. So who do I work with? I work with executives, professionals, and business owners. People who are in the higher levels of an organization who have budget to hire somebody like me. I work with professionals, physicians, lawyers, accountants, financial planners, insurance companies. I work with all of those kinds of producers, and then with business owners, people who own family businesses, privately held companies. These are all of the people that make our country go. And changing one life in a position of leadership can change hundreds of lives for those who report to them. If you are a person who has influence over a dozen people, or 50 people, or 100 people, or 1,000 people, what are you doing to serve those people by making yourself a better version of you? The work I do, and there's a lot of fads. There's like a fad a minute. And the work I do is based on timeless principles and good research. There'll be a new book that comes out every 15 minutes about something that somebody just learned. But I caution you about the brand new. If it has stood the test of time and it's withstood the rigors of science, it's far more likely to last. So I'd encourage you to find somebody who is not doing the faddish thing, but doing the thing that's been around for a long time. Look for someone who tries to custom fit their work to the people who they meet. You need someone who doesn't want to turn you into a cartoon character of what they think a leader is. You want someone who will help you become a better version of you. Because at the end of the day, you have something in you that people will follow. You have something in you that will help to serve the people around you. You don't have to be a cardboard cutout of what a leader is supposed to look like. You just have to become a better version of you, and others will gravitate towards you. Thank you very much. God bless.